The law of attraction. What is it? What is the law of attraction? It's basically, to sum it up, it's basically how the old saying goes. If you're putting out positive things, if you're, thinking positive, and you're like basically putting positive energy out into the universe, usually positive things are going to happen to you. Things will probably go your way and you'll draw in positive experiences, right? However, if you think negatively, if you always look at everything from like a pessimistic point of view, depending on who you are, and you just keep putting out that type of bad energy, usually bad things will keep happening, or it'll just bring on more negative experiences and outcomes, right? So I just think about that sometimes, and I think I've definitely been on the positive and negative side of that whole thing. Like, for example, I remember when I started working a particular job, and I saw this guy there, and even though I was still seeing another guy at the time, and by the way, this dude I was seeing, he wasn't really treating me the best, I'll say that. So I see this other guy at this new job that I'm starting, and I can see it's weird, y'all. It's like I looked at him and just something just felt very familiar about him, and I'm just like, who's this guy, And it's weird, like, Jesus, they're loud. Lord, they're loud, and it's weird, but like in my head, I'll never forget. In my head, I said, I think this guy is gonna be my boyfriend. Like, this should be my boyfriend right here. Actually, no, I don't even think I said this should. I was like, that's gonna be my boyfriend right there. And I'll never forget, I said that in my head, and I'm just looking at him because I'm just like, it's just something about him. It was very weird. And I just met the dude. It's like, and I just seen him, just meeting all the other people at the job as well. And yeah, I found that very strange, right? But that's just how I was feeling. So I go on with that job. Obviously, the dude who wasn't treating me right, the previous dude I was seeing, I eventually break up with him. And, getting to know this new guy at the job, he was kind of, I will say the thought of him, like, being my boyfriend or anything, like, went out my mind. Because he was being so annoying, y'all. He was just getting on my nerves, doing the most. Just annoying, y'all. And I was like, oof. Maybe that thought I had in my head was wrong, because I don't see it now. I was wrong. The vision was wrong. That was some delusion that I drew up in my head. That was delusion. Delusions of grandeur, right? And the weirdest thing, I think one day I was talking to one of my other coworkers. It was a girl I would sit across from. And I remember she was talking about how oh yeah, he be doing too much. He's full of himself, this and that. And I'm like, yeah, he's just like annoying sometimes. I think it's just the stuff he says and does sometimes. I'm just like, ooh, yeah, this dude is kind of, he doing a little too much for me. I don't know. And I remember saying to her, yeah, I would never go out with him. Like, if I had the chance, like, I would never go out with him. And it's like, that's why you say never. They always say never, because sometimes when you say that, it can end up happening. Or just like early on in the video, I said, oh, this is going to be my boyfriend right here. And I'll get into that in a second. So anyways, I said that, y'all. I was like, oh, I would never go out with him, whatever, F that dude. And then eventually months go by, and I start to grow to, actually, I realized the longer time went on and I kept seeing him every day, and then he kind of started to show his other side, and I was like, oh, okay, so there is another side here. He was just being very, you know, nice and sweet. There's like a sweet side. He's not just a butthole all the damn time. And I never forget that. So I remember one day, this is when I realized I was actually starting to like him, and I was like, shit, like this was not supposed to happen. And by the way, I'm leaving some stuff out. Obviously, this dude started liking me. He started liking me way before I started liking him. Just putting that out there. And I think that's why he was messing with me and being so annoying sometimes, because I guess he would rather get bad attention from me than get no attention at all, right? So, boom, do that whole thing. One day, I just remember, this is when I realized I really was like attracted to him and I started liking him. He comes into, I was in like this desk area, I was like answering phone calls and stuff. He comes in there to just ask me a question about some paper, or he needed to copy something, I don't know. And I remember the light was just hitting him. It's like the sun was shining on him, and it was like, ah! It was like that. And I was just looking at him and I was like, damn, like, what's going on here? Like, that's just how I was looking at him. And I'm like, Jesus, okay, Joel, you're staring again. Just, oh God. I was in my head. I was just like melting. I was like, Jesus, he's actually really cute. But yeah, he came in there, and then I was like, I said something silly just to like, you know, throw him off. I don't know. We was always joking around at that job. That job was hilarious. It's like it was a telemarketing job. It was like a call center type job, y'all. So you know how it is in them call centers. Like, people be playing. But yeah, he leaves back out the office, and I'm like, dang. And I'm talking in my head. I'm like, shoot, dang. So I really am starting to like him. And I think at this point, I know that he likes me, but he probably is like, you know, he probably doesn't know where I stand, so it's like, whatever. Anyways, I'm gonna skip over a bunch of stuff. I'm gonna be this is already long enough. Anyways, fast forward, months go by. It was some other girl that came into his life. I think he thought that was gonna be his girl, and I'm like, well, and obviously I got irritated. I'm like, oh my God. But I'm like, whatever. If it was meant to be, it might not work out. You know, and it didn't. They ended up breaking it off. I'm talking to him again. I think it's like months go by at this point, and then me and him kind of were texting back and forth. And then he starts telling me how he actually feels and saying it out his mouth, which I figured, you know, because the way he was acting. And then it's like, you know, I'm telling him how I feel, all this stuff, because, you know, obviously there was, you know, we got some chemistry going there. And then next thing you know, we're going out and dating, talking, and what do you know? All of a sudden, this is my boyfriend now. And that's crazy to me. It's like, and mind you, I wasn't even supposed to be working at that job, y'all. I was supposed to be working somewhere else, but that was just something that I needed a job immediately. And the other job I was trying to get, I had to wait longer. And I was like, no, I can't wait. So yeah, after all this time goes by, all this, somehow, you know, me and him actually end up gelling, being together, and that ends up actually being my boyfriend, which I think is insane. And that's just all based off of a thought I had in my head when I saw him. Because like I said earlier in the video, he just seemed, it was something familiar about him. And I was just like, okay. And then he's my boyfriend. Crazy. So that happens, and then I just think it's funny that I said I would never go out with him. Yeah, I would never. It's like all that stuff I was saying was some BS, and then little did I know, yeah, I would end up going with him. Crazy. Ain't that something? I think that could be put under the law of attraction in a way. It's like, yeah, keep putting things out there It might actually happen. Oh, also, I left this part out. So, basically, anything that I want, or whenever I want something, or I just see something, or envision something in my head, usually it does happen, and I do get what I want. So just think about that. I eventually end up getting what I want. Even if it might be a process, even if things may not feel like, things may not be on the up and up. I may feel hopeless even. But eventually, I get what I want. So, that's it. Peace.
I don't wanna know your name, cause I might just feel your pain. Might just risk my life to keep you dry when it rains. Might just fall in love, a little hug can make me stay. Mystics make me soft, just like a moth to a flame. Show me where's the crowd and I'll be proud to just obey. And if you're not around, then I'll be proud to take your place. I'ma roll this loud while I go down.